Wow. Wow. Look at all this.
Wow.
We got 山有水.
What are you, Chinese?
No, but I also feel a little bit of rain.
Yep, I do as well, and I'm not looking forward to that. That would be devastating. Kind of have our whole lives in these bags.
You know how we try to avoid politics on our channel?
Yes.
Well, I think sometimes we can still speculate about things, right?
Yeah.
So how about we speculate about something dangerous here?
Okay. I like where you're going with this.
If China were to suddenly get embroiled in a war, let's say against an imaginary country, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Some other country.
Called the SAU or something.
Yeah, okay, so they basically engage. Do you think that Chinese people would all up and fight for their country?
They call him Mr. Arcade, because there isn't any game he hasn't played. He's beat the best, he scorns the rest, he's Mr. Arcade.
I want to play
Animal Crossing.
Play it once and you'll be back.
The Chinese government attacks.
From every side, you feel that there's no place to hide. They swallow you up, they blast away. You gotta shoot and run to stay in play.
这样不行，你不能玩。
Take it home.
I like NordVPN.
So using a VPN has become part of our daily life. I mean, not just for security, but region locking. Certain game stores are only available in certain countries. I know this because I've been all around the world. So if I want access to Asian titles, for instance, I can set my VPN to Japan or Hong Kong. And if I want access to the UK store, set my VPN to the UK.
Our VPN of choice is NordVPN. It's super easy to use. In fact, we use it every single day, no matter if we're in the office or we're traveling around the world and we want to keep our data safe. Don't forget to go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina and use the code ADVChina and you'll get 68% off a 2-year plan. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like it. Don't forget, go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina and use the code ADVChina.
Woo! It's a bit of a loaded question, no pun intended. Well, I'm locked and loaded with my speculation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes and no, but the majority no.
Okay.
Okay? And
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
If we don't die on this road.
Yeah.
The reason being is that China is full of propaganda where it says everyone stand up and fight for your nation. It's the greatest nation on earth. Typical stuff, fight for the Chinese dream, don't let other countries bully us. Remember the 8 nations alliance that screwed us over, the century of humiliation, all that crap. It's constantly funneled into education and media and entertainment and just the whole narrative of China, right? So what I will say China does well is that it does fire up its nationals to actually be nationalistic and patriotic. And we have seen that, the benefits of that and the negatives of that. And the benefits of that is they have absolute control over a population, a big population, so they can get stuff done. Building projects or, education initiatives. They can roll out things very quickly, roads, things like that. But the negatives we've seen are, a population of people that have literally been brainwashed, right? It's modern brainwashing techniques, monitored, in a very paranoid society that lacks basic human freedoms that we grew up with, right? So you'd think that China would be able to rally its nation in a time of war, by the way, which I think will never happen. But in the event of war, would be able to rally the troops and get people fighting for its cause. But the reason I think that that's probably not the case, and if push came to shove that wouldn't happen, is first looking back at history. If you look at the dynasties, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same way that China runs today. It's a lot, a few people in power, and then you have these peasants kind of working on the sides. And that's still how China works, right? Maybe the peasants have money now, but they don't have any sort of real political power.
That's correct.
So you have a situation where you have these people that have always had this notion that the government is this infallible thing that you can't touch. You don't have any control or influence over it. So it kind of leaves you in a position of not really caring about it. You go Lao Bai Xing, they call it, old 100 names. Average Chinese citizen goes on with their life. They go on with what they do, continue to earn money, take care of their family, and continue as humans do. But they don't necessarily care about politics or war. They might show it on TV, but the average person doesn't. And I think that if you took away Chinese people's money in the event of war, because the economy would falter, right? Would slow down. I think you'd have a lot more people just leaving. And I think something I think you can talk about is there's already proof that they wouldn't fight for their country, and that's the proof is that they leave.
Sure.
Right.
Actions speak louder than words, man.
Right.
Like, you don't see vast amounts of Americans, populating the rest of the world, like leaving their country and just being like, oh, as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm out. Because literally, as soon as somebody in China gets some wealth and some chance and opportunity, they're sending their children overseas to study. They're also investing in property overseas. They're moving. They're getting Canadian citizenship. So the proof's in the pudding right there. But also, just to riff off what you were saying there, Chinese people are very nationalistic. They very Aiguo, love their country, but that's just the way they've been brought up. But remember that they've had no say in their government. They've had no choice. They didn't get to vote anyone in or choose anyone. They just get to blindly follow the government that's in power. And when it comes to national pride, and I've seen it firsthand. They stand up and they all get together to have these anti-Japanese protests or whatever it is. Yeah. They love the country, they love everything, but like you say, as soon as their money is threatened, all of a sudden they'll start, hating their government, and protesting the government. And so I think the way the communist system has kind of progressed in China, it's made people very selfish. And you know how we have that terrible phenomenon where nobody is a good Samaritan in China. Like, if someone gets hurt, they won't try to help them because it might affect their daily life, their guorudzi, like if you try to help someone, maybe you'll get embroiled in this thing, and get stuck in it. So you can imagine, like, when it comes to the threat of being physically harmed in conflict, I have a feeling that people shy away from it. They wouldn't be like, I'm gonna stand with my brothers in arms and help my fellow man, like, oh look, there's someone is shot there, I'm gonna drag him through the battlefield. It'll be more like, oh look, people are getting hurt, I don't want to get hurt, I'm just gonna lie down here or run away or do whatever. That's just my perception of what might happen, having seen it happen in real life in society in China,
Right, so we're using an extreme example like war, but like you said, the proof's in the pudding. We have already seen what happens with economic warfare.
Yeah.
With the threat to intellectual freedom, right, from professors and things like that. People that have the means leave. They do. They absolutely leave. So that why would you expect an entire population? Okay, let's make a hypothetical situation, right?
Okay, yeah.
So let's not talk about the top tier of society.
Okay.
Right? Let's not talk about those people. Let's talk about the average Joe, right? ZHOU. On the street. Do you think they could be persuaded into fighting?
With financial incentive, I think so, to a certain degree. But you don't have that let me fall on my sword mentality in China anymore. I think it's more
the self and the family comes above all.
Yeah, exactly. So unless it's directly going to benefit their family or themselves, I don't see why they do it. There's a big problem with the Chinese military, is that people in there are doing it for financial reasons and stability reasons, because it's a government job. I don't think many people join out of patriotic needs or whatever. I think it's literally just a job. And I've got family that are in the military, like my Chinese family side, and they just tell me about how they spend their days, like doing little drills and cooking, and it's like that kind of thing, and how they get their free rice and all that, like bags of rice and stuff, the typical iron rice bowl thing. And because I've grown up in a family full of military, South Africa, everyone before me was conscripted, right? I know what I've seen, like true military spirit. You see that in America a lot too. Anyone who's in the military, they're very proud of what they do. But in China, it seems very sloppy. And I just have a feeling like when it comes down to brass tacks, that a lot of people would probably not want to get involved in fighting. I could be wrong though. And like we said, it's completely hypothetical,
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I really do think that in the event of war, you'd see a population that would rise up and really yell, scream at the top of their lungs. But that's pretty much all they've done in the past as well. I mean, you'll see it, and they go to like Czech Republic or Belgium or something, and they'll start protesting if something, you know, happens. Like they're willing to go out of their way to go to a foreign country to protest in favor of China. So that shows initiative. But really, like this whole the warfare scenario, I really don't know anyone personally that would be willing to throw their family, you know, family safety and their own personal safety in favor of their government, right? So, I mean, to kind of like conclude this, I really don't think you'd have a nation that would be riled up enough to actually go to battle. But you do have, you know, a massive reserve of soldiers.
Of course,
I've seen them,
the military is
unfortunately.
huge.
Right.
But they have huge problems with the military in China, you know, like you read about it all the time. Even the Chinese media talks about it, you know, like there's video game addiction and stuff in the military, you know, that they have to deal with, and the problem of, you know, vast amount of soldiers being lazy or unfit or bad eyesight or whatever, you know, there's lots of that stuff going on. So it's just weird, and China's never been able to prove itself in battle, you know, the modern China anyway. They had that little spat with Vietnam in the 70s, which they kind of lost, you know.
That was a rough one. No one likes to talk about that.
Yeah. So who knows? But anyway, I mean, we can speculate all we want, but that's...
I just thought it was an interesting scenario.
Yeah. So, yeah, anything you'd like to tell our subscribers before we sign off?
Whether you have any battle experience yourself or you've never joined the military, we appreciate the fact that you watch our videos. So if you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button and give us a like. And what do you think down in the comment section? Do you think China would, you know, rise up and prove itself in battle?
Yeah, and look, I gotta say this straight out. There's no way in hell I would ever want there to be any kind of conflict, especially since I have Chinese family, right? So
I would
do you.
certainly hope not.
It would be terrible for something like that to happen.
Right.
So let's just keep hoping for peace and prosperity in China and abroad.
Right.
And whether you're peace-loving or a warmonger, we love you all the same. Until next time, you know the drill. Stay awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching ADV China. You can catch a new episode every single Monday at 1 p.m. EST. Up in the top right corner, you can watch another Lao 86 video, which comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST. And down below the Lao 86 video, you can watch Winston at Serpent ZA every single Friday at 1 p.m. EST. Thanks.